Hey iPrevent viewers! September is Sexual Health Awareness Month, so we are going to be talking all about sexual health. It's important to remember that sexual health is not just the absence of disease, but also refers to the physical, emotional, mental, and social well-being when it comes to sexuality. We can all have positive sexual experiences that are free from coercion, discrimination, or violence if we are respectful in our sexual relationships and of others' sexuality, which is something everyone deserves. This is essentially what it means to have good sexual health. There are many factors that contribute to sexual health, so let's dive into some one by one. First, I want to talk to you about sexual rights. The WHO states that sexual health cannot be achieved unless our human rights are protected. And so, the list of sexual rights essential to maintain sexual health was born. These rights include the right to equality and non-discrimination, the right to be free from cruel or degrading treatment, the right to privacy, the right to freedom of opinion and expression, and the right to the highest attainable standard of health. Now, how can we put these sexual rights into practice? Well, if you are unsure whether your sexual rights are being respected by a partner, ask yourself these questions. Do I feel safe with this partner? Do I feel respected by this partner? Does this partner make me feel like an equal? Do I feel like I can tell this partner when something makes me uncomfortable? These are just some of the ways we can check in with ourselves to make sure our rights are not being violated. Protecting your own sexual rights and respecting the sexual rights of your partners will lead to better overall sexual health and experiences. Another extremely important part of your sexual health is being aware about the spread, aka transmission, prevention, and treatment of STDs. We know STDs are not fun to talk about, but it is important to be informed about them. Although STDs affect all people, people aged 15 to 24 account for half of the new sexually transmitted infections reported every year in the US. So, if you know how to properly protect yourself, you can stay healthy and safe from STDs in all of your sexual experiences. So, let's talk a little about the facts. How can you get an STD? Well, STDs can be transmitted through vaginal, oral, or anal sexual activity. They can also be transmitted through intimate physical contact, although this is very rare. Even though STDs sometimes cause obvious symptoms, many times you can be asymptomatic, which means no symptoms, or show very mild symptoms. This is why it is important to get tested if you are having sex, because many STDs can lead to more serious complications if they go untreated. Access to testing resources is another key part of sexual health. Here at iPrevent, we provide access to free HIV and Hep C testing, or can make you an appointment at our clinic where you can be tested for other STDs. Now, we'll move on to prevention. If you are choosing to have sex, there are a ton of ways to protect yourself from STDs. Here are some of your options. For HPV and hepatitis B, being vaccinated is the best way to protect yourself. The HPV vaccine is typically recommended starting at ages 11 to 12 through age 26. And the hepatitis B vaccine is typically given to people when they are babies. If you want to learn more about the HPV vaccine, take a look at our last YouTube video for a more in-depth look. Second, barrier methods such as condoms are another reliable STD prevention method when used during oral, anal, and vaginal sex. There are also female condoms, gloves, and dental dams, so there are a wide variety of types of barriers to suit your needs. Lastly, know your status. This is a crucial step in stopping the spread of STDs. By getting tested, you can then take steps to protect yourself and your partner. If you have been diagnosed with an STD, it is important to get treated so that the infection does not lead to more serious or permanent health complications. To get treated, you can visit your regular doctor, or iPrevent can schedule you an appointment at our health clinic. Lastly, make sure you inform your partner or partners when you have been diagnosed with an STD so that they can get tested and treated ASAP.
It is important to mention also your reproductive ability when talking about sexual health. Being aware of your reproductive ability can help prevent unintended pregnancies and decrease rates of infertility, which is the inability to have a child in general. By being aware about how you can take control of this ability, you can have more control about when and how often you live that experience. According to healthypeople.org, nearly half of all pregnancies are unintended. You see, protected sex can help prevent unintended pregnancy until you are ready. Do you remember how we discussed about its importance in protecting you against STDs as well? Talking about STDs, did you know it can also affect your ability to reproduce? The CDC estimates that undiagnosed and untreated STDs cause at least 24,000 women in the US each year to become infertile or unable to have a child. It is so important to get tested for STDs. Plus, if you are pregnant, knowing about your STD status can help your doctor help you decide the best way to protect your baby and yourself, as it can cause serious health problems to the baby. However, there are also some other reproductive health problems other than STDs that can affect your ability to have a child as well, such as endometriosis, PCOS, etc. We talk about some of them on our website, Instagram, YouTube, and our other social media platforms. Look for iPrevent.org. Keep in mind that regular visitations to your doctor or gynecologist for examination, especially when you are sexually active, can help you detect some of the conditions early. Let's talk a little about how you can take control over this wonderful ability to reproduce. This is when we're going to talk about the use of contraceptives. Contraceptives are used to help protect people from getting pregnant and from catching infections during sexual activity. There are different types of contraceptive methods, but only one, the condom, can help prevent both a pregnancy and the transmission of sexually transmitted infections, including HIV. The contraceptives can take different forms. Some are specifically for males, and others are designed specifically for females. There are the pills, implants, injectables, condoms, etc. You might have heard about some of them already. In choosing a contraceptive method, it is very important to talk to a doctor that can help decide which one is more appropriate for you specifically. Depending on the situation, some contraceptives are more effective than others. Some people also experience some side effects from specific contraceptives. This is why it is important for you to learn more about each of them and talk to your primary doctor before making that decision. The best method overall to protect yourself is abstinence. Otherwise, If you decide to be sexually active, decide carefully on the best method to protect yourself and others so you can enjoy it better. Let's talk now about sexual violence prevention. Any sexual activity without given consent or not freely given consent is called sexual violence. It is important to talk about sexual violence as it is still very common in the US. How big is the problem really? Let's think about this. According to the CDC, more than 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men experience sexual violence involving physical contact during his or her lifetime. Sexual violence can have many negative effects on sexual health. It can affect the physical health, the mental health, and can even cause more long-term problems for the survivor, such as post-traumatic stress disorder. The trauma resulting from sexual violence can also affect the survivor's ability to deal with daily life activities and social relationships. So now that we have looked closer at sexual violence and its impact on sexual health, let's talk about ways you can protect yourself from sexual violence or adopt an attitude that will help in reducing sexual violence rate. Keep in mind while we talk about prevention that if you are a survivor of sexual violence on any form, it is not your fault, but the fault of your perpetrator. Please call for help. You can start by talking out to someone you trust. In addition to the Odyssey House services that are available, many organizations such as LAFASA, which is Louisiana Foundation Against Sexual Violence, help survivors of sexual violence. Most importantly, please call 911 if you are in immediate danger. Although it is difficult to be totally protected from sexual violence, you can reduce your risk from being assaulted by following some guidelines such as try to avoid isolated places, especially at certain times of the day. Sometimes, even if the place is occupied, you might want to avoid it as well if it's not safe or does not feel safe. Trust your instinct. It might be helpful as well to avoid isolating yourself with someone you don't know or someone you don't trust. If you start feeling unsafe or uncomfortable, it is probably time to leave. Saying, I don't want to, is a good enough reason. Be firm is saying no if you do not feel comfortable. Be aware of your surroundings in case you have to find a way out quickly of a bad situation. If you are walking alone, pay attention. So avoid loud music, headphones in both ears. Keep your cell phone charged and within reach. Also keep canned money on you. You might need it, you never know. In social gatherings, go with a group of friends preferably. Check on each other from time to time and live together. Keep an eye on your drink, and if left unattended, just get a new one. Don't accept drinks from people you don't know. In case you want to, go to the bar yourself and watch it being ordered, poured out, and carry it yourself. Same way, avoid the common open containers at parties. Be aware of the origin and the whereabouts of your drink. Avoid situations where you lose control of yourself, such as by drinking too much alcohol, using drugs, your setting, or around people you do not know or trust fully. Also, because it is often so difficult to talk about the subject, it is always worth knowing some warning signs that might help you recognize when your friend or peer might be facing sexual violence. Talk about your concern to a professional. Maybe you might help someone out without noticing. In order to avoid sexual violence in your personal relationships, it is important to have open and honest communication with your partner or partners. Talking about your boundaries and anything that makes you uncomfortable will make sexual experiences better for all involved. But above all, you must give and receive consent. Sometimes consent is a verbal yes, and other times partners may indicate consent through their body language. If you are ever unsure whether you have someone's consent or your partner seems unwilling, always ask whether they are okay with what you are doing. And remember that someone under the influence of alcohol or drugs cannot consent to sexual activity.
Sexual health is a very important component of our overall health and well-being. It allows us to have healthier relationships with ourselves and others, which makes sexual experiences less stressful and more enjoyable. Like we mentioned before, if you are in need of resources to help you maintain your sexual health, like condoms, lube, HIV or Hep C testing, or an appointment in our clinic, DM us on any of our social media or give us a call at 504-418-4955. Thanks for watching, iPrevent fam.